George Donikian is on the line. How are you, George?
I'm very well, Jeremy. Long time no speak.
I know. It's great to hear your voice. I was telling everyone earlier about your Disrupt radio station, which sounds, really, really interesting. I've got Les Ellicus at the table with me, and if you hear another voice, it's Les to ask you a question. But when did you start doing this?
Last year. I was approached about a year ago, and they said to me, "What are you up to?" And I told them, "I'm doing this, that, and the other, and doing a lot of corporate teaching, coaching, taking businessmen and women and giving them a bit of a short course on how to cope with the modern challenges of business and the media." And I said to them, "Okay, what have you got in mind? Well, we've got this new radio station. We want to do it in a fresh new way that isn't being done at the moment." I said, "Okay, let's try it out." So trial and error, and we launched about June of last year, and we reach out to Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. And of course, the joy is we want to stretch it and take it around the country. And why stop there?
Well, it's online, George. George, it's online, so it is going around the world. There are no boundaries. Goes everywhere.
No, that's true. That's true. There are no boundaries, but I am pitching the messaging essentially to Melbourne, to Sydney, to Brisbane.
Yep.
And if we're going to add Adelaide, if we're going to add Perth, then there'll be more stories and more interviews and more subject matter that relates to that audience as well. So that's the challenge of getting the mix right.
Okay. Now, I understand that it's really a talk station with a different philosophy. Can you tell me what the difference is?
Yeah, we're not letting the Joe public or Marissa public to join us on the phone unless there's a very special reason.
So no talkback?
Well, not talkback in that old sense or that original sense that did so very well for so long. The people we'll be talking to and talk back to and interchange ideas with are the professionals, business professionals, medical professionals, people who are pushing the envelope in AI and transforming the marketplace in a fashion that no one's considered. We talked about the Industrial Revolution of the 1900s. We, without realizing it, we've undergone the most extraordinary developmental explosion of technology ever seen in the history of the world. And here we are, we're required to do so many things, balance so many different balls, and we all have to take a step, take a deep breath and go, are we up for it? And the answer is, if you keep an open mind, you're available and open to everything.
Okay, now who's on the station with you? Is it a full service kind of radio station, all day and all night, or just part of the day? How does it work?
No, that's good. That's you being strategic and asking me the key stuff.
I'm picking your brains. I'm picking your brains.
Yeah, you are, and so you should. No, they're a great young team. I work primarily the breakfast program with Libby Gore.
Oh, yeah.
Who you might remember as Elle McFeast.
Yes, I remember.
Elle's had a fantastic career. Lisbeth is doing some tremendous work. Originally a lawyer who branched into broadcasting and beyond, and she's now a soccer mum. She's got a number of other roles as well. She's a marketing arm as well, and she doesn't want to sit down and just, roses and whatever else is happening. She wants to keep stirring the pot. And that's what we do with breakfast, Monday to Friday, between 7 and 9. We do 2 very tight hours, and we cover as many topics as possible. And from the latest AI to that woman called Taylor Swift.
You're not going to the concert, are you?
No. I don't need that much excitement, and I certainly don't need the bombardment of energy and colours that 100,000 people plus are going to put on it. the MCG.
Yeah. Now, do you carry a news service on the hour, or are you fully commercial or partly commercial?
You are talking. We are totally commercial, and you're talking to the news director and news anchor and presenter, and the other two players who read the news on the station are bots.
Oh, bots!
Debbie Bot or Despot, and Neil Bot. So Neil and Deb are our two AI creations, which basically take the opportunity to rehash or rewrite my news. And, of course, the technology then allows us to put it to air.
So artificial intelligence writes and reads the news?
No, doesn't write at the moment. It's just reading the news. So what happens? We feed it. It's like a good child.
We could do that,
you
Tony.
Feed it. You feed it, and you allow the artificial intelligence to then decide which avatar it wants to speak in. Does it want to do a Jeremy style voice, or does it want to do it in, for say,
George Donikian voice.
A Mel Walden voice.
Mel Walden, yeah. I remember him.
or Rob Kelvin.
Yeah.
So, given that technology and your opportunities now, have you learned to do a good Steve Vizard takeoff?
Oh, I could always do a good Steve Vizard takeoff. Graham Kennedy said to me years ago, "Don't get angry. Don't get upset." What he's done by creating this wonderful caricature of you is he's made you famous. I said, "Famous? I'm going to kill him." He said, No. 20, 30 years from now, people will be coming up to you and saying, "Oh, God, I loved you on Fast Forward." And I used to look at Graham and go, "Graham, you're kidding." Now, 20, 30 years on, I get people coming up, "God, I loved you on Fast Forward." And I go, "It wasn't me, it was Steve Vizard playing me."
What was it like working with Graham Kennedy?
It was extraordinary. I remember early on, Graham accepted an invitation for me to interview him. And 3 questions in, he said, "Hang on a minute. I said an interview, not an interrogation." So he had his foibles, he had his range, and he had the parameters that he would set out. But as a boss, he was terrific. He was always trying to encourage us to be better. He wanted me to be his straight man from the very beginning, and I wouldn't do it. And I said no to him 3 times, which is very rare. Very few people said no to him. So we instilled a young guy, you might remember, who went on to become the face of Wide World of Sports. And I'm talking about Ken Sutcliffe.
Yeah.
Ken had been, to give you an idea how shrewd Ken was, and we talk about sliding door moments in media, Ken heard that I had said no to Graham, and he said to Graham, "I'm here. I'm happy to do it." And he came in, and he'd been at Channel 9 for 11 years, and no one knew he was there. He did 12 weeks with Graham and became a household name.
Yeah. But that idea...
And then
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, go on. And all I was saying, was going to finish it off by saying, and when Ken said, "Well, all I've got now is this profile, I'm going to go to Kerry Packer because I want to do sport," and he did Wide World of Sports, and Kerry said, "All right, you've made a name for yourself. You can do Wide World of Sports." Graham came back to me and said, "What about it?" I said, "No," again. And he said to me, "All right, it's up to you to find me another player." And I rang Johnny Mangos, who was our correspondent in LA, and I said, you want to do some real live TV, not this pretend stuff you do every night for the Nine Network? And he said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Working with Graham Kennedy." He said, "When do you want me and what time do I need to be there?" And he came on and he did that stint with Graham, and they too created fabulous history on the program called Coast to Coast, which changed nighttime TV.
Well, the idea of the coast-to-coast approach to news and the way, I mean, you'd need a Graham Kennedy and you'd need a George Donikian, ideally, to do it. But I look at television today and I don't know, I really don't get it. I sort of despair. There's possibly too much choice, too many channels. It's too confusing. But then you look at an attempt that, say, Channel 10 had and an opportunity that they had with the project, which, as they like to say, is the news done differently. They had the opportunity to really do something like Coast to Coast. And they missed the boat. True. They missed the boat. They got all of these sort of would-be left-wing agitators to come on and sprout Marxism. And they thought that was going to fly? They must be mad.
No, the idea originally, because the cast has changed over the years, Jeremy, the idea originally had legs. The problem is, like everything else that I've learnt in this long tenure now that I've had, almost 45 years in the media, not as long as yours, but a good 45. And if you think about it, the reason why good programming is done because there are good people or patrons who back you, and there are no Kerry Packers left.
No,
the last of the Kerrys is Kerry Stokes. The days of Bruce Skingell, not David, being around are long gone. He was a visionary and a marvel. He had courage. He understood that without courage, you get nothing done. He walked up to a young woman one day. We were walking through the subtitling unit at SBS in the early days, before we had become the SBS. And he said to me, just introduce me to some of your subtitles because I hear you're having a lot of fun with them. I said, yeah, but I'm their only outsource. The only way they can get any of their energy, out is by passing it through to me. I'm their conduit to the marketplace. And I said to him, let me introduce you to some of the people through there. And I introduced him to two or three. And I introduced him to a young woman called Basia Bonkowski. And Basia was our Polish subtitler. He took one look at her and he said, Basia, do you know anything about music? She said, I love music. He said, would you like to host Rock Around the World? She went, are you for real? He said, yes. And within a matter of a week and a half, 2 weeks, she had done an audition. Now, how many people have that courage to see something, put it together with another idea, and then go with it? Graham Kennedy was of that caliber. He would grab an idea, twist it and turn it and make it his own. But Bruce Skingell, show you the visionary of that man. In 1980, after we had launched, I said to him, well, I suppose this means we can now go national with SBS. He says, oh, we are going to go national. I said, well, that means studios in every city. He said, look around. This is the future of television. One studio, 24/7.
That's
no,
all.
not the ABC duplicating what it has in Sydney or in Adelaide or in Melbourne, around the country, and laying idle for hour upon hour upon hour.
Yeah.
That's our money. And he said, how can we make our pot of gold, or our small amount of outlay that we had to rip off from the ABC at the time? And that's why the ABC to this very day still gets uncomfortable when you mention the words SBS.
Yeah.
They because it's like someone ripped a rib from them. It was a small outlay to do something very special, to address a part of the marketplace that had lain, I suppose, not idle, but invisible.
Yeah, but you'd have to be, George, you'd have to be very careful not to look Sydney-centric or Melbourne-centric, because if you said, we did
it. We did it. People didn't know. A lot of people didn't know we were Sydney. And I made a point of everything I read was not out of Sydney. It was read as it was reading it to you in Melbourne, reading it to you in Adelaide, reading it to you in Perth. And it can be done, Jeremy. You know how it's done.
Well, I think news radio does that pretty well. You'd imagine that they were sitting on a sort of a tower somewhere in Central Australia, and they're everywhere, but they're nowhere.
I love that image of the tower. You know, that in the early days...
Sort of a scaffold.
Well, I was going to say, we felt like we were on a scaffold in the early days of SBS. Because of this brouhaha at SBS and ABC, we were not afforded the opportunity to put our mast at the top of the ABC tower at Gore Hill. We were told we could use a small scaffolding down the bottom. Now, you know how television works. It's called line of sight. The higher you are, the further your messaging can go. Well, we were told we could work off the first floor. Oh, that filled us with a great deal of, yes, you can imagine. Anyway,
George,
I digress.
George, it's wonderful to talk to you. It really is. Congratulations on, what's it called again?
It's called Disrupt.radio.
Disrupt.radio. So I can go to the, what's it called? The web?
Yeah.
Okay. That thing.
No, you just go to your phone, download the radio app, which is very, very good.
Yeah, I can do that.
It'll have jeremycordeaux.com on it soon, I'm sure. If
it
hasn't already got it.
Opinion.
Well, there you go. There you go.
It has. It's right there.
There you go. And then you put disrupt.radio and up it'll come.
George, the name Disrupt sounds to me like it's sort of almost counterculture, subversive. Are you targeting the young folk in our society, or?
I'm targeting the young minds, the people who are not closed, who are open and understand that the world is evolving and shifting at an incredible pace. And, you know, with a little assistance, we can take you on a journey. We will entertain you. We will inform you. And at the same time, we'll give you access to some of the brightest minds, the ones who are making the marketplace move.
Well, George...
And if that's exciting, come for it.
Well, at the dining room table about, 20 minutes before you came on the air, Theo Maris... You know Theo?
What a great man! Yeah, great,
he's a wonderful man.
Guy.
And I was telling him about you and your current project and your idea, and he said, "Look, we all should get together. We should get that idea here." So I mean,
why don't we do it?
Well, there is a man who mentors people and makes things happen. I think he's an absolute whiz.
Well,
Theo Maris.
His son. You know, his son has won an Oscar for his Hotel Mumbai film.
Yes.
So there's a great deal of talent in that family. And let's not forget the role that Theo has played in the East End over the last 30, 40 years. It's been extraordinary.
We talked about it at length.
Well, you know it all, Jeremy. It's true. There are wonderful people in this world. You've just got to engage them more often, that's all.
Thanks, George.
All the very, very best.
Bless your heart.
Thank you, and more power to you.
Thank you, sir. George Donikian.